So people keep telling me that if I want to see success competitively, one of the best Pokemon I can be using is Incineroar. But I'll be honest, I'm looking at this card and I don't think I really get the appeal. Incineroar from Temporal Forces. Stage 2 with 320 HP. It has the attack Blaze Blast for 1 fire energy and 4 colorless. We do 240 damage and burn the opponent. Now, that cost isn't too bad because we have the Hustle Play ability, which lowers the attack cost by 1 colorless for each of our opponent's benched Pokemon. If our opponent has 4 or more Pokemon benched, this attack costs just 1 fire energy, and that's honestly pretty good. Let's see if we can make this work. Here's my deck list. So Incineroar I think has 2 major problems. First of all, Blaze Blast is a decent attack, but 240 damage plus the 20 from burn between turns is really just not enough. So we need to increase that number somehow. First of all, we're running a 2-2 line of Magmortar. Magmortar's Magma Surge ability will increase the damage placed by burn by 30, which means that our Incineroar is now effectively hitting for 290 after that first attack. Now this does stack, so we get out a second Magmortar to hit for 320, but let's not get our hopes up. We also have 2 copies of Gravity Mountain. Gravity Mountain lowers the HP of stage 2 Pokemon in play by 30. So if we have Gravity Mountain plus Magmortar up, you're hitting for effectively 320, which is pretty dang good. Now, the other major problem with Incineroar is that Hustle Play ability. Hustle Play lowers the attack cost by 1 colorless for each of our opponent's bench Pokemon, which seems good on paper, but our opponent can read that paper as well. And if they realize they can just not bench Pokemon, it can be pretty difficult for us to attack. To play around that, we have a few extra tricks up our sleeve. First off, Accompanying Flute. This allows us to put Pokemon from the top of our opponent's deck onto their bench. We also have 2 copies of Ignition Energy. This plays for 3 colorless, but only for 1 turn. And finally, the really funny card here is Erika's Invitation, which allows us to look at our opponent's hand, bench a Pokemon we find there, and then immediately force it into the active. Are we actually doing this very often? Maybe not, but it's really funny, so we're playing it. The rest of the list is mostly self-explanatory. We need Litten to evolve it into Incineroar, but the bad thing about this card is that it only hits for 10 damage, which means that we can't even one-shot a Budew, which is really, really bad, but we have to play it. Budew is here in case we whiff the turn 1 Evo play. This deck is able to make good use of Poké Pad. It doesn't search out Incineroar, so we have to play Ultra Ball for that, but this does get us our Magmars and our Magmortars, which is pretty dang good. It can also get us our Psyduck pretty easily. We have 2 copies of Iono. One thing that's notable here is that if Incineroar takes the knockout using its burn damage, that counts as the knockout in between turns, which disables Fezandipiti. This means hand disruption can be pretty strong in this deck exactly, so I would consider increasing the number of Iono in this deck. I just feel like this list struggles a little bit with consistency, and so having a stronger draw supporter in Lilies is a little bit necessary. Finally, our ace deck of choice is Secret Box. This is once again a very, very good consistency card, that's why we're playing it, but I think there are other very good options for this deck. A Prime Catcher is good for more gusting, Unfair Slam is really good for the hand disruption like before. Those are the other 2 options I would primarily consider, but for now, I think I prefer Secret Box. I think the rest of the list speaks for itself. If you have any questions, just comment and I'll answer. But otherwise, this is a fully original list, so I'm sure there's room for improvement somewhere. So if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all that, but let's just get into the games. Our first match is up against Dragapult. We're going first, which is not ideal, and then we mulligan twice into opening Psyduck. Could be better. Still, the rest of this hand is actually pretty good, so let's see what we can do. Since we're definitely going to be under item lock next turn, let's go for the Secret Box now. We can pitch Gravity Mountain, a Fire Energy, and a Poké Pad to get a hold of Lilies, Evo, Artisan, and another Poké Pad. From there, we'll start with the Poffin. We can get 2 Litten from the deck. We can Poké Pad next to get our Magmar on the bench, and then from there, I suppose we'll just pass. Our opponent goes and they start by benching a bunch of Dreepy. So in theory, we can one-shot a Dragapult, which is something, and we have Psyduck to prevent the Duskulls. But our biggest issue is we don't exactly have a lot of ways to hit at the bench, right? The only thing we can really do is boss something up, which is not very consistent at all. As a result, we're playing kind of reactively almost, which I don't think I like very much. Anyway, our opponent just fills up their bench with Dreepies, attaches a Psychic, and attacks with Budew. Itchy Pollen blocks us out of items, but that's no biggie really. We can attach an energy onto Psyduck, we can put the Evo onto it. We'll Air Balloon onto Magmar here, why not? And honestly, since our opponent already has all the Dreepies in the world, might as well just Artisan now. Let's get the second Magmar, why not? And we'll go for Lilies. 8 new cards here, and those aren't terrible, we just can't really use them. Instead, we'll fire off the Evo. This time around, I think I just want to get 2 Torracat into play. It's back to our opponent now, and they can start by throwing down a Dracloak. We, on one hand, don't like to see them get more setup, but on the other hand, this means they can't attack us with Bolt this turn, which is something at least. They put a Fire Energy onto the Dracloak as well, before Artisan gets them to their 4th Dreepy, which seems a little excessive, but sure. They'll Recon Directive and then go for an Ultra Ball, pitching both Poffins. You get a hold of a second Dracloak. Bad Dracloak comes down as well, and this is suddenly looking a little bit scary. I mean, on one hand, we are pretty much set up to attack next turn, all we need is the energy. On the other hand, though, I mean, our opponent just has multiple Dracloaks set up, they have all these draws going. I definitely wouldn't say we're in a particularly great spot. They'll end their turn with another Itchy Pollen, but honestly, I don't think that's a huge deal. We'll draw again, and we top deck the energy. That's beautiful. Okay, well, in that case, I suppose we can Artisan first. There's nothing really worth getting, whatever. Let's just go in. We can evolve Torracat into Incineroar, attach a fire energy onto it. Let's retreat our Psyduck, and I guess we'll Arven. I mean, obviously we can't really use what we get here, but the deck thingy for next turn could be helpful. We'll grab an Air Balloon and a Poké Pad, so we can at least search out Magmortar next turn, but for right now, we can just attack with Blaze Blast and hit for a solid 480 damage against that puny little Budew. Goodbye, buddy. And the lose off the prizes is actually not terrible at all. Our opponent promotes the Dreepy and begins their turn. That tells you that they probably don't have Pull in hand, otherwise they would have just done that. There is another Dracloak coming down. And they'll bench Latias and they'll bench Fez as well, which, hey, more bench sitters, more prize cards for us. It doesn't seem terrible. The only problem here is they have 3 recon directives plus flip the script. If there's a card that they want, they probably have it. They go for the triple recon and then just retreat into Dracloak. Then they'll flip the script afterwards, which sure. Anyway, 4th Dracloak comes down. Great. So even worse now. And of course the active evolves into Dragapult as well. Luminous Energy on the bench Dracloak, getting that set up for next turn. This is certainly a huge hurdle to overcome here. They'll go for the Phantom Dive, and while Incineroar can take the hit, Psyduck unfortunately cannot, and that gives our opponent their first prize card of the game. So it's our move now. And obviously we could Night Stretcher to get Psyduck back, but I mean, our opponent has no bench space, there's no Duskulls coming down, so I don't think I really need to. Let's start with the Poké Pad. We'll get Magmortar into play. Next I bench a Litten, which I probably shouldn't have, but I do it anyway. Then we'll throw down Fez. We'll flip the script here, see what else we can pick up, and those are fine, but nothing too crazy. I choose to Super Rock here, we'll put back 2 energy and Psyduck. I can Ultra Ball next. We probably don't need the Ignition Energy or the Arven here. We'll just get a hold of Incineroar. Incineroar comes down, and now I go for Iono. Let's see if we can draw into those energy cards that we just put back. That's not quite it, but honestly, that's not the worst thing ever. Boss's Orders is nice at least. We can punch with Blaze Blast that hits for 240, and of course the burn damage kicks in, taking the knockout. Again, because we took the knockout with burn, it actually denies Fezandipiti. The issue is our opponent has 3 Dracloak anyway, so I don't think that'll matter too much. Back to our opponent now, and they'll bench the Duskull, which is nice and all, but we're going to probably take another 2 prizes next turn, so it's probably a bit too late for that. They still have triple recon to get basically any card they can dream of, and here's the Night Stretcher. That gets them a Psychic Energy. Well, that will of course attach to Dracloak, and now that evolves to Dragapult. While we really don't like seeing that. Lillie's gets them a new hand of 6, but to be honest, I'm not really scared of anything else they can really do here. What matters is that Pult is going to attack, that will take our active Incineroar and spread damage all over our bench. Our opponent takes 2 more prize cards. We'll bring in Magmar because it is for retreat, and then we'll start our turn. I'm really hoping we can get an energy here, then we can just attach that to Incineroar and then Iono our opponent down to no cards and hopefully win from there. For right now, we'll start by using Poké Pad, we'll get Magmortar, then we can flip the script to get 3 more cards, and we miss the energy. Okay, well that's not great. I was really hoping we could cut our opponent's hand down, but we just didn't get what we needed. Instead, I think we have to go for Arven here. We'll grab Earthen Vessel and Air Balloon, that's something. Earthen Vessel can get rid of the Evo to get 2 fire energy from the deck, that's something. We'll of course attach to Incineroar, retreat right into it, evolve our bench Magmar just for the sake of it, and from here I think we'll just Blaze Blast. Once again, we hit for 240, our burn will take out the Dragapult, and that gets us 2 more prize cards. So this is a little bit awkward. What I'm scared of here is our opponent can gust up our Fezandipiti, attack with Dragapult, and win the game from there. So we have to hope that they can't get Pult plus Neo Upper plus Countercatcher, which, to be fair, is a 3-card combo, and they've lost some Pults already, and Neo Upper is a 1-of, but at the same time, they have 9 cards in hand and 2 Recon directives, so it's really not too unlikely they'll get what they need here. They'll start with an Ultra Ball, pitching 2 Dusclops, and luckily they just get Hawlucha, and they'll Ultra Ball again, pitching Buddy-Buddy Poffin and Monkey Dory, and this time they just whiff. Okay, so this is a really good sign. It means they don't have any Pult in deck, so they still need like Night Stretcher, and then they attach a Luminous onto Dracloak. That's really good for us, because that means they can't Neo Upper, which means that we're at least alive for this turn. Our opponent will go for Lillie's, get a new hand of 6, they'll bump our Gravity Mountain for a Jamming Tower, and finally from here they use their Recon directives. Our opponent counter catches next though, and this is where things get a little bit problematic. Magmortar's stuck in the active. Because of Jamming Tower, Air Balloon doesn't even work, so we need to draw into our final Stadium or a Turo to get rid of the Jamming Tower. And we do only have 12 cards in deck. If we whiff this, our opponent will probably just win next turn. So this is honestly kind of scary. They'll pass it back to us and we'll draw, and I forgot that we are just a better player. Okay, well in that case, we'll just play the Turo that we top decked, put Magmortar right back into the hand, and our opponent concedes before we can even bring in the Incineroar. Okay. This match we're up against Joltik Box. We're going second, and this hand is honestly crazy, so I feel pretty good. Our opponent leads Latias EX and begins their turn with a Nest Ball. That obviously gets them to the Miraidon EX, whose tandem unit will get them to both Iron Hands and the Joltik. From there, they'll attach an energy onto the Joltik and simply pass their turn. Well, we have a lot we could do here. Let's start things off with Arven. With Arven, we can grab Secret Box and Evo. Next, let's go for a Buddy-Buddy Poffin, put 2 Litten onto the bench. Then we can go for Artisan to throw a Magmar onto the bench. Next, we'll put a Fire Energy onto Magmar. I'll attach an Evo. And honestly, let's just go straight for the evolution. We can keep our Secret Box safe for next turn, and for now we'll get a Torracat and a Magmortar into play. Now it's back to our opponent, and they'll bench a Pikachu EX. They'll promote Joltik and then go for Crispin here. That gets a Lightning to hand, and more importantly puts a Metal onto that Pikachu, which we really don't like. They'll attach Return onto Iron Hands, and now Jolting Charge will allow them to charge up their board a little bit. Well, it's back to us, and we'll draw it. We get Night Stretcher, which just doesn't do anything for us just yet. Well, let's start with the Secret Box. We don't really need the Poffin or the Budew, and I suppose we'll get rid of Lillie's. With this, we can grab Earthen Vessel, Air Balloon, Gravity Mountain, and Lillie's Determination. It's a real shame. If we just had one more piece, we could very easily go for a boss KO this turn, but we don't have it. So we'll go for the Earthen Vessel, pitching the Gravity Mountain to get some energy. Artisan can fetch another Litten. I put a Fire Energy onto the active Magmar and then put an Air Balloon onto the bench. I could have attached a Torracat, but I want to be sure that even if we whiff Incineroar, we aren't leaving that Joltik in the active. Now we can go for Lillie's, get a new hand of 8. That's not bad. We'll evolve Litten into Torracat, and the rest of the cards here are good, but we'll hold on to them for now. We can just use a simple Steady Fire Breathing to take the knockout onto Joltik. Back to our opponent, and they'll promote Iron Hands before using Nest Ball to get a hold of Fezandipiti. Flip the script, gets them 3 more cards. They can Tandem Mute it just to the deck thin a little bit, I guess. And then here's a second Crispin. They'll grab a Grass Energy to hand and put a Metal onto the benched Iron Hands. They'll attach to their active, and unfortunately they can just amp to take 2 prizes off of our poor little Magmar. Well, that's not ideal. We still have stuff we can do though. We'll bring in Torracat and we'll draw for turn. We'll start by attaching an energy. Next we go for Ultra Ball. I pitch Erika's Invitation and Fezandipiti. I just don't want to put another 2 prizer on my bench for I would easily get knocked out, and we have enough cards in hand already. We can grab Incineroar and play it right away. What I decided to do is I decided to play Boss's Orders to bring in the Pikachu. This seems a little weird. I'm just worried that they can play Gravity Mountain to one-shot our own Incineroar, which I don't really like. Besides Blaze Blast, sure, Pikachu can't get one-shot, but thanks to the burn damage, it goes down anyway. So obviously the downside here is if our opponent has any kind of gusting, they can bring in one of our benched Pokemon and take the extra 2 prize cards, but I decide that keeping Incineroar alive is just a little bit more valuable. Back to our opponent, and they'll Pokegear for the Boss's Orders. Okay, they can't even Fezandipiti because Pikachu was knocked out in between turns, so that Pokegear went kind of crazy for them. They'll bring in Magmortar, and then they'll attach a Booster Energy onto the Iron Hands. They'll put a Metal onto their benched Iron Hands, and once again, they can simply amp for the knockout. So that's kind of unfortunate, although to be honest, I'm not that scared. The one thing we have going for us here is that our opponent has no real attackers set up. The only thing they're even close to getting is Iron Hands, but they need 2 energy plus gusting to win off of that, so I think we're in a pretty good spot. Let's go for Arven again. This time we'll just get Ultra Ball and Evo. We can get rid of the Evolution and the Ignition Energy to get a hold of another Incineroar. Suppose we'll just Rare Candy Litten up. We'll put a Fire Energy onto that one as well. Let's Air Balloon the Torracat, and let's simply take the knockout here. Again, I feel pretty good. We're 1 turn away from winning, and our opponent doesn't show any signs of having a real attacker setup, but they do have 8 cards in hand plus a Flip the Script, so if there is an answer, they probably have it. They promote Latios and immediately bench Mega Mawile, which I was not expecting at all. They can Night Stretcher next to get a Metal Energy to hand. They can attach to the Mawile, and then they'll throw down Energy Switch, which is, again, just shocking to me, but they can play that, and now their Mawile is fully charged and able to attack, hitting for exactly 320 and closing out the game for them. Honestly, if they're playing text like that, I feel like they're less likely to be on Gravity Mountain, so maybe I should have simply taken out the Iron Hands that was in front of me, but hindsight's 2020, I guess. That's unfortunate, because that game was almost certainly winnable. And we're back. How do we do? I think we did pretty good. Incineroar, I think, is honestly a very underrated attacker right now. The biggest weakness with Incineroar is that, sure, we can punch hard, but we're not really doing anything else. If you want to punch hard, there's a bajillion different decks you can play, and Incineroar has the little burn thing going for it, but I don't think that's really enough. We can lean more into that. We can play more Magmortar to increase the damage. We can play more Iono for hand control, and those are all real valid options, but most other decks are either like running some sort of spread, or maybe they have Dusknoir, or they have whatever, and so us not having that kind of puts us just a step behind compared to other decks. Additionally, Hustle Play as an ability is just such a detriment. My opponents mostly played into it, but if you're against a better player, they will probably play around it, and then you need to get really lucky with those accompanying flutes to really attack, and so that could be a real hassle. Still, besides that, cool deck, like it a lot. Yeah, cool.